Jesus was more liberal than I am. We have a tendency to think of it as the left and the right, and people would like to think of Jesus as being on the right, on the conservative side. But I can easily show that Jesus was actually more liberal, was farther left than most of us who call ourselves liberals. And this is most easily seen when you see his complete rejection of the transactional mindset. Most of us, from the time we were children, were taught to think of life in a transactional way, in the sense of how much does something cost and what do I get out of this interaction, this transaction? How much am I going to benefit from this situation or from this? When people are thinking about political policies, they're thinking of how much does it benefit me? And if it has a cost to others, or if it has a cost to me and a benefit to others, it's bad, because the transactional equation is how much does this benefit me? And they don't care about how much other people suffer as a result. Jesus rejected completely that whole mindset. He illustrated this and described it in several different ways. At one point, he said, when you have a banquet, don't invite those who can pay you back. Invite the crippled, the lame, the blind. Invite people who can't pay you back. In Luke chapter 14, verse 12, it says, then Jesus said to his host, when you give a luncheon or dinner, do not invite your friends, your brothers or sister, your relatives, or your rich neighbors. If you do, they may invite you back, so you will be repaid. But when you give a banquet, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, the blind, and you will be blessed. Although they cannot repay you, you will be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous. In other words, he wasn't transactional in the sense of looking at situations with regards to how much he personally benefited from the situation. He wasn't trying to maximize profit. He was trying to maximize goodness, kindness, and generosity. Those are the things that he valued instead of profit, instead of what it cost. He even said that you should love your enemies, something which Trump outright rejects. And this is something that we can evaluate. You've heard that it was said, love your neighbor and hate your enemies. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, that you may be children of your Father in heaven. He causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. If you love those who love you, what reward will you get? Are not even the tax collectors doing that? And if you greet only your own people, what are you doing more than others? Do not even the pagans do that? He said, love your enemies, not merely tolerate them, not avoid them, actively love them. Trump said that he doesn't do this. He said that he actually hates his opponents. This makes him, according to Jesus, worse than the pagans. If you need even just one point to evaluate what Jesus thinks of or how he would evaluate Trump, this point makes it very easy.
His opponents, he wanted the best for them. That's where I disagreed with Charlie. I hate my opponent, and I don't want the best for them. I'm sorry. I am sorry, Erica. But now Erica can talk to me and the whole group, and maybe they can convince me that that's not right, but I can't stand my opponent. Charlie's angry. Looking down, he's angry at me now.
So Jesus said that if you don't love your enemies, if you don't do good to those who are against you, you are no better than the tax collectors, no better than the pagans. So I would consider myself, you could put me in that category because I'm not religious, or you could call me a pagan. So in other words, according to Jesus, if you don't do more good than I do, and specifically when it's directed towards people that you wouldn't call friends, directed towards people who you would call enemies. So Jesus said, if you only do good to those who love you, and only do good to people who are your friends, you are no better than the tax collectors, no better than the pagans. So if you want to know what Jesus thinks of a person like Trump, who openly says that he not only doesn't love his enemies, but that he actually hates them, this is it. According to Jesus, he is no better than the pagans. Now, conservatives love to think of themselves as better than the liberals. And if someone does more good than I do, I have no problem with them thinking that they are better than me. Feel free, I'll cheer you on for that. But you need to think of that in the context of, if you say that you believe in Jesus, you need to remember that if you don't do that, then he considers you no better than the pagans, no better than me. So I would have a small argument or a small disagreement here. There are lots of liberals who do good to other people without an expectation of return. To varying degrees. We'll actually do this where we're caring about people who can't give back to us, who will never have the expectation that they'll return to us. I do that at times. There's other liberals who do that at times. So I wouldn't say it's quite as black and white as this, because some liberals or some pagans are better than the picture which seems to be painted in this passage. But still, I have no problem with, you do more good than me, feel free to think that you are better than me. But do that knowing that if you don't show that you believe this, I'll be thinking that you're just a regular hypocrite like so many others, which is exactly what I think of Trump. And in all of this, you should be more concerned about if you do say you believe in Jesus, you should be more concerned about what he thinks of you than what I think of you. And here he has clearly spelled out what he thinks of you. Now, on the topic of loving your enemies, so I believe in wishing the best of, and that's a conscious part of who I am when I'm interacting with people. I hope that they have good relationships, life turns out well for them, that they experience happiness. But I don't go quite as far as Jesus did. Because for me, I'd be thinking of all kinds of different qualifications, and it'd be trying to evaluate the situation. And in my response, should I do A, B, or C? Jesus just seemed to just give them a blank check. He went farther than I do. And in this case, I would say that he's more liberal than I am, more free with his expression of love than I am. Having said that, though, according to what Jesus is describing here, I'm on better moral grounds than Trump is, because I still accept this idea, believe and support it. I definitely consider that it's just bizarre that this is like a prominent teaching for Jesus, and this was very radical and a very strong kind of a message. And yet Trump outright and overtly laughs about it, jokes about it, rejects it in public. And yet he wants people to think that he's a Messiah-like figure, the chosen one that people should follow, that he's God's chosen one, doing good in the world. Jesus completely rejected a transactional mindset. He was not looking to maximize profit and personal benefit. He was looking to maximize goodness, maximize generosity and kindness. And it is bizarre to me that often when I speak to Christians, they seem to have a Darwinistic, an openly wolf mentality, which basically views everyone else as sheep, and they're the predators. And it's a basic, mindless, carnivorous, survival of the fittest mentality, where everyone else is lunch. This is not the morality that Jesus had. And I often find myself, as a liberal, as an agnostic, someone who's defending a Christian morality, or defending a morality which Jesus expressed, against Christians who say that they believe him and say that they follow him. I'm discussing this purely on philosophical grounds and purely on the grounds of humanity and an awareness of our life experience. They claim to follow him, believing that he's God and believing that he's promised them eternal life and so on. And they will fight and argue against his teachings. They will fight and argue against people who accept this and believe this, and instead follow someone like Trump, who openly rejects and denies what Jesus taught. So he'll go beyond simply not loving your enemies to going, I hate my enemies. I oppose my enemies. I don't want good for them. It's just a bizarre, upside down world.
His opponents, he wanted the best for them. That's where I disagreed with Charlie. I hate my opponent. And I don't want the best for them. I'm sorry. I am sorry, Erica. But now Erica can talk to me and the whole group, and maybe they can convince me that that's not right, but I can't stand my opponent. Charlie's angry. Looking down, he's angry at me now.